Recording started. Welcome everybody to tonight's AMA. We've got Elephant Money and SK Crypto as the ambassador for the project here. We'll be taking a look at their project, what they've been up to so far. They've been at this for quite a while, so I think there's plenty to talk about. SK Crypto, welcome to the Cove here tonight.
Hey, hello, and thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Awesome, glad to have you. Can you start us off with just some introductions of who you are to the project and kind of who the main players within the project are, and kind of touch on how you guys got together and what led you to decide to create this project together?
Got you. Okay, so there's a lot to unpack with that. Hello, everybody. My name is SK CryptoK. I am a YouTube influencer. I've been at this for about 1.5 years myself. That includes my entry into DeFi. However, I have been a content creator for upwards of 4 years, and I'm not officially part of the team. I'd like to call it the volunteer army is what I'm a part of. But this project of Elephant Money is primarily made by Bank Teller. He is he's everything. He is the coder, the visionary. He's put this together, and he's got a well-versed background in economics. He's an MIT graduate and has been working with fintech, Fidelity, economics, had his beginnings with State Street. The man has been working on these systems for decades. And now, for the last 5 years, he has been coding for DeFi and creating original projects. And this Elephant Money one is the culmination of everything that he has ever worked on. And I'm excited to share it with you. And I think that's me and Bank Teller.
Okay, awesome. So it sounds like from the start kind of was a one-man operation, but now you and I imagine others from the community have kind of stepped in to take some parts of the reins in that regard.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's not just me. There are several influencers out there that are picking up on this, and they talk about it. You got several of them that even dive real deep into it with the math and the parabolic curve. I'm going to explain to you. But yeah, as far as I don't know if I consider myself an admin team, but I am in the back room. I do help consult. I do, learn the inner workings of how this system works. And I'm one of the best to explain, not only on my own YouTube channel, but when I go around to away AMAs, I help people understand how this works.
Right. Okay. Awesome. That's definitely a great signal for as far as the community backing is concerned, in my eyes. So thanks for the introductions. I'd say let's then dive right into the project itself. You mentioned that you had something you wanted to share. I don't know how much you've prepared. Otherwise, can you just start us off with the basics of what the vision is behind the project, what the end goal is, and how you guys want the projects to kind of grow and be in the future?
Gotcha. Absolutely. Well, first things first, can you see my screen?
Yes, you're all good.
Okay. So awesome. A little bit of an introduction, and feel free to pause me at any time here. But as you even mentioned, this is one of the projects I think you guys are having an AMA for that has one of the highest liquidity pools and market caps yet. And I'm excited to share why this is still the ground floor. So what Elephant Money is essentially is a community bank. This is a cooperative where this is supposed to be the best store of value in DeFi. And it's primarily held with 2 tokens. You've got the Elephant token, which right now is sitting at 115 million market cap. And then you've got the overly collateralized stablecoin called Trunk. However, we'll get into the history of that and why this is still a good investment for what's around the corner. But between these 2 tokens, you have $165 million of assets under management. And I think when I start, I'll pretty much dive into how you should understand what the Elephant token is and how this is literally just entering a new parabolic supply shock curve that, within 45 days, essentially we're going to have a 4 or 5x. And then from there, you're going to double and triple and go on from there to 10x and beyond as we get into 2023. So yeah, the elephant token is where we'll start. Do you have any questions so far, or should I continue?
No, that sounds good. I think it's interesting that there's like the ecosystem with two tokens.
Yeah.
Some bold claims already, but happy to hear why you're speaking the truth.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. So,
Awesome.
well, let's take a look at elephant token. So this is the chart right now. Okay. And this token has been out for quite some time, paired with BNB primarily. However, there is an elephant BUSD pool for this as well. But you'll really notice something special here. And if you can see the bottom of the screen, in August, things have been getting really interesting. And when I flip this chart to look at elephant, buys versus sell purely, I'm going to click this button and flip it. You'll see that since mid-August, this chart's been nothing but green, okay? You have way more buy pressure than you do sell pressure. Everyone knows what we're getting into because we've already had a supply shock earlier this year. We've already witnessed what this system, what the innovations, how this machine works. We've already seen it, okay? And now it's happening again. And this is what's really exciting, is because everyone who's getting in now is getting in before the big money comes in, before the hedge funds, before we show up on their radars, before the venture capitalists. So this is really ground floor for what's to come. I do know that there are huge marketing efforts by Bank Teller, to meet up with celebrities and really get this on a whole new level as far as who's going to be talking about this in the months and years to come. Now, to understand elephant token, however, okay, so when you come to the elephant page, this is where you can primarily buy it. But what I'm going to explain is going to be the backbone to everything else. So how elephant works is it is a 1 quadrillion supply token. All right. This got its foundation back in the day. This token came out in May 4th of 2021. So it is already over a year old. And you can see in that time, in the bottom left of your screen, it's amassed a liquidity of $43 million. This is locked liquidity. Okay. This is not one of your tokens that are low liquidity that just hit the market and, you've got a huge separation between the pancake liquidity pair versus the market cap. This is not that. Okay. This is a juggernaut, and I'm going to explain why. Primarily, though, the bare minimum of the elephant token is a 10% in and out token. All right. When you purchase it, 10% tax. When you sell it, 10% tax. Okay. Half of that tax, half of all liquidity is locked in this thing called the graveyard. All right. But how this, and you might be familiar with like a burn address. You may have heard it from SafeMoon or Moonrat. However, this is a smart contract. And what it does is when it receives half of that 10% tax, okay, half of those reflected back into the graveyard right here, it slowly increases this 50% up to 51%. And when that happens, okay, 51% rebalances back down to 50%. That is a total of 10 trillion tokens that are being rebalanced. And how that looks on a chart, what we saw earlier this year, this is actually back in March to April timeframe. And as we were going up the first parabolic run up right here, when that rebalance of the graveyard occurred, okay, that was where 10 trillion tokens are rebalanced, right? But half of that, 5 trillion tokens, is sold on the chart. 5 trillion tokens sold as BNB. That BNB is then paired with the other 5 trillion tokens remaining that I just mentioned, and then gets added into liquidity. So this liquidity right here on the bottom left. So 50 to 51%, 10 trillion tokens, half of which is sold on the chart, and you saw that red candlestick, and then it's paired with the remaining 5 trillion tokens added to liquidity, then the cycle rinses and repeats. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah, it does. Yeah, it makes sense. It's just, but the main thing that comes to mind for me is there's plenty of tokens that have stuff like a tax that adds to liquidity. So like, what's the functional difference between doing it this way and simply adding direct liquidity from a tax?
The benefit here is that this token has been out so long, You show me another token that has this much lock liquidity compared, in their pancake swap pairs. This has over 100 million market cap with deep liquidity because it's an age-old token. But to answer your question, actually, I forgot to pull something up. Yeah. I'm going to go to BSC scan real quick. So the Elephant Graveyard is one of several protocol-owned liquidity assets. Okay, so I come to Elephant Money. I want to find the hang on holders. Yes. There we go. That's what I was looking for. My bad. All right. So that graveyard. So it's not just that simple. Here's how the graveyard works, and then boom. Buy the token. No. I'm baby stepping you into why this system is so genius. So this number one holder right here, this is the graveyard. Right now it has 503 trillion tokens. That percentage should look very familiar to what we just witnessed on the other screen. Now, when you have this at 50%, it's always protecting that half of the supply. You next have your pancake pair. This is the BNB. And then next up, you have this thing called the Elephant Treasury, which is going to be the linchpin to everything else I'm going to tell you in third place. So this is the Elephant Treasury at 95 trillion tokens. It's locking up more of the supply. And then in fourth place, you have the Elephant BUSD LP pair right here. Now, between these four contracts, okay, this Elephant Treasury in third place, this is what's growing also with reflections and everything I'm going to share with you soon. And as this gets bigger, it's just basic economics. You're going to lock up more supply in the protocol, like you said, like other tokens claim to do. But this one is actually already at the cusp of a supply shock. And the more that this Elephant Treasury grows, the more tokens get locked up in it. Otherwise, it's locked up in the hands of holders. And we need to drain this second and fourth place. We need to drain these LP pairs of the trillions of tokens they hold. And then we get closer and closer to supply shock, where you just run up this parabolic curve. So that's what we're about to witness. And that Elephant Treasury is also denoted right here. This is the third holder that I just showed you, this 95 trillion tokens, and it's worth $11 million at the moment. And this is going to exponentially increase and make the token go up.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I get that. Just so so I'm in the clear on my definitions. When you say the supply shock, that's when the graveyard reaches the 51%, and which triggers the the sell-off and the liquidity pair being added. Is that correct? Or is that like a different event?
Nope. That is just one of the many defenses to the overall liquidity protection, the system. Yes, but you got it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Cool.
Okay.
Oh,
go ahead.
Sorry. No, it's an interesting. I get that it may be a bit tough to answer in that sense. I think it's a new way to add liquidity this way, right? Where you first send them to the graveyard rather than having it to the liquidity directly. But I think what the functional impact is something that I fail to see directly, but maybe that's just me, right?
It'll all come together in a...
Okay, right, okay, gotcha.
Yep.
Then I'll lose it better.
Yeah, it's going to get better. So I wanted to really start off. I always start off by explaining the graveyard because I want people to understand this chart that I just showed you. Mm-hmm. So when the supply shock happens, this little red candlestick, that is a 5 trillion token sell on the chart. So most of these other tokens, when you compare Elephant to, let's say your Dogecoin, your SHIB, any of the other tokens on the market where, you're battling up against, am I late to this project? All the people that bought in early or all the wealthy folks, they have so many tokens that on a whim, if they sell, I get dumped on, right? That is the age-old fear in any token that you look at. However, when it comes to Elephant, it's special, it's different. And this is why, because the Elephant Graveyard rebalance, okay, everyone can pay attention to this percentage go from 50% up to 51%. This is an anticipated community event where they know that when this rebalances, your chart is going to look like that. It gives the community a chance to buy cheaper tokens, which when this occurred, within a day or maybe 2 days, it just ate that up, and no one gave a damn, and that chart kept going up. Now, I say this when you compare this to Dogecoin and SHIB and all the, you're battling against if you're late versus the early people. This is a 5 trillion token sell. So let's look at that holder chart one more time. Okay. The top 4 are the contracts and the LPs. But starting with number 5, okay, this is the largest token holder. This is the largest human holder. Okay. He has 8.2 trillion tokens. Only this person and only this person can sell more than that graveyard dump I just showed you right here. Okay, this is 5 trillion tokens, and this guy has 8.2 trillion tokens. Now, I don't personally know who this is. This isn't Bank Teller either, but this is a friendly whale. Evidently, well, the dev has an idea who this is, but this is a person that's been following this dev for years and years and years across all of his projects, and this person has never sold a token. All they do is buy tokens, actually. So they're really set. But I want to highlight not only him or her, holder 6 and down, 4.4 trillion, 4.3 trillion, 3.7. There is not another single holder of this entire holders list that can do a candle that large. Okay, so that's one of the protections here, and it all comes back to the protocol owned liquidity. That's kind of that's kind of the theme of this entire thing with the elephant treasury. But everything is locked up and getting the protocol is growing and holding more of the tokens out of the supply. And everyone's just trying to get as much elephant token as they possibly can. And most of these holders, if you go back and look at all of their transaction history, a lot of them have been here since day one. So remember, May 4th of 2021. Okay, these aren't your flyby investors here. Like, these are the people holding the front lines. They're holding this token down, and they don't necessarily need to sell their elephant token, because when we talk about it later, you have trunk. This is primarily how you are going to want to cash out of this system, versus elephant, because elephant, you want to think of that as like you're buying your stock in Tesla and Microsoft and Google in the early days. And skim off the top after you get a 10, 15x or whatever. But primarily, you can use this trunk ecosystem to really, count as your checking and your savings account, if you will. But we'll get into that.
Right. Okay. Awesome. I get the appeal in what you've talked about so far, definitely for elephant. Just something, and I can imagine that this is a question you run into way more often, but the graveyard, like you mentioned, because sometimes tokens come from there as well, and it's not just a burn address like you would see in most other projects. The question arises then, who has the private keys to that wallet, and what does the security around that wallet look like?
Yeah, absolutely. Very good question. And on the main page, if you scroll all the way down, they do. So this has been audited not only by Certic, but also where's their Peck Shield. Okay. Those are located down here on the bottom, so you can read through those as well. But as far as who has the keys, who's the custodian right now, that is Bank Teller. Okay. However, he cannot just dip his hands into the cookie jar and take this massive liquidity of 43 million out of this elephant token, out of this side, right? He can pull some levers in the background and control some APRs of, what's moving in and out of this elephant treasury. This is about the only control he has, but everything else in the ecosystem is locked. It's locked liquidity. It can't be moved. And when we talk about
the graveyard is not the liquidity, right? The graveyard is just a bag in that sense.
Right. And no one can access this. This is an immutable smart contract. He cannot touch this, and he can't even change anything.
Okay, right.
Yeah, it's a smart contract.
So but the contract can still be an address in that sense. But so there is also a Certic audit that kind of prevents anybody from touching it, other than the automated system for the
Yes.
buyback and the addition for liquidity. Okay, cool.
Yes. Yes. No, really good question.
All right.
So,
yeah, great. Good
go
answer.
ahead.
Thanks. No, I'm just the introduction to the trunk side of the ecosystem. I'm very curious how that plays into kind of what you talked about so far in regards to elephants. What the
Yes.
connection is and what trunk can do. Because if I've read the white paper, and it does seem like that's where the magic happens for the most part.
Yes.
So I'm very
Yes.
curious.
So yeah, and we're going to get into some really serious stuff here too. So Trunk, this is a token that was introduced in, I think it was October. Yeah, October of 2021. And this token introduced this concept of the elephant treasury. Okay, this right here, and the design and the innovation of the elephant treasury is this is. I mean, I don't know if it's the right term, but I think of it like it's an artificial intelligence. Like this is the largest holder of elephant token that receives reflections that cannot dump on you. Like this is basically like having the best possible whale at the top of your holder list that is designed just not to dump on you. And the more this grows, okay, that's more of the supply that's being locked out of circulating supply, and it's allowing this token to essentially capture all those X's that are just on the horizon. Now, the serious topic I wanted to get into is that this token came out in May of last year, but after this elephant treasury was designed in October and introduced, it grew and grew, and I'm going to show you this chart right here. This is made by a community member named Daedalus. Shout out to him. He is awesome. And this is he built this entire dashboard tracking site, right? And specifically this chart right here in blue. So don't pay attention to any of the numbers. I know it's a busy page you're looking at. But,
there's a lot of statistics.
it is. So I'm going to try to break it down for you and get into the serious topic, which was an exploit. Okay. And you're looking at the comeback right now. And so this blue represents the elephant treasury. This was introduced in October, like I said. And then it started to grow. And then Stampede, which is one of these, Stampede, which is up here on the left side. This was introduced in November. And that's when you really start to see things pick up. This elephant treasury was growing in value. So if you look at the tooltip, now it says 97 trillion tokens. Then it goes all the way up to 130 trillion tokens, all the way to 212 trillion tokens at the height of it. But then you'll see in March, April, actually early April this year, a series of, I guess a bad actor or actors created a smart contract that required $250 million to actually grind away at the elephant treasury and zap this blue down to nothing. Okay. And when this occurred, Peck Shield got on board. The developer, didn't walk away. He didn't launch a V2 of anything. He just redesigned the system to come back. And here we are since May, we've been in a recovery period. Now, I know you're going to have a lot of questions about this, and we're going to go into that. But I just want to show you the design of when all of this, when all of these tokens were being locked up by the elephant treasury and blue growing up, you'll see in red, this is the value of the elephant token. And you'll see the parabolic hockey stick that we went up, in March through April until things went down. Now, this basically went from a 40 million market cap all the way to a 560 million market cap in the span of like 20 days. All right. Think about that. This thing shot up like a rocket. And now that everything's retooled and actually bulletproof, it's been completely redesigned, which I'll explain. Now we're seeing that again. The elephant treasury is going up, but now we also have more holders. So there's less circulating supply because there's more holders of the elephant token. And also the elephant treasury is growing at the same time. But you'll see in red down here, we're starting to go up, look at the crosshair, but you're basically matched over here. We're basically entering the blade of the hockey stick before this happens again. This is happening. This is the crystal ball that I mentioned, that we've already seen this mechanic of supply shock for this project at play. It already worked, and now it's about to happen again. Except this time, everything's buttoned up. Peck Shield, Certic, everyone for about a month's time, offered ideas and stopped this exploit from ever happening again. And that's also why, if I zoom out, we're going to look at this chart one last time, but we're going to zoom out all the way. And I want you to see, since the beginning of this elephant token, this is what it looks like. So this came out last May and, kind of crabbed along all of 2021. Trunk was introduced. The elephant treasury came into play. Boom, starts a supply shock. Then it really supply shocked. Exploit happened. And here we are on the recovery. Now, even including the exploit, this is still on an upward trajectory. And this is about to happen again. We'll be at all-time high probably in 45 days, I'm predicting, if the projections and what the math is showing so far. And then we're just going to keep going on beyond that. So now I know you have a lot of questions. Go ahead.
For sure. Because the main question is, what exactly happened during the exploit? Like, what exactly was exploited? Was it? I mean, this might be tough to kind of get into the technicals, seeing as to how, from the way I understand it, you're not necessarily the developer of this project, right? That's Banks on it.
Right.
But just to kind of walk us through, because from what I see, like the skepticism that itches at the back of my mind is, okay, but how do I know that upward trend was not also part of the exploit? How do I know that was not like the entire thing was the exploit, so to say, right?
Yeah. I mean, hey, valid question, man, and that's what I'm here for. I'm on your side. So let's get into that. So again, like I said, the linchpin is this elephant treasury. Now, when this was introduced, this is how the exploit happened too. So this elephant treasury was with the trunk token at the inception of the trunk token. Okay, it was actually partially collateralized as a stable coin. 75% of the trunk token was backed by BUSD, and 25% of it was backed by elephant token. And what that allowed what that allowed for is that as people were bringing BUSD into the system, like, if you bought $1,000, 750 of it went to BUSD, and then the other 250 of it went and bought elephant token and stuffed it into this treasury. Okay, that old mechanism allowed for direct access. You basically had an unlocked front door that could interact with this elephant treasury. Okay, money was coming in, and then when people would go redeem their trunk, it was paying. Like, say you sold 1,000 trunk, which at the time was $1. Mm-hmm. When you sold 1,000 trunk, you were receiving 750 BUSD and $250 worth of elephant token that was coming out of this elephant treasury. So you had a direct access to the elephant treasury. So what the exploit did is, basically, there was a smart contract. They did a flash loan attack, borrowing $261 million, something like that. And they threw that into the smart contract, and it basically pushed a bunch of levers where it threw all that money into the elephant token, shot up the value of it, and then they redeemed it, at a 75-25 coming out. And they basically looped that function so many times in such a short amount of time that it flash loan attacked the elephant treasury, which, again, I told you, is designed to not dump on you. But what the exploit did was it made this dump on you. And this elephant treasury, when it was going the way it's supposed to, as far as locking up circulating supply, it literally was supply shocking the token, and it was doing that for like, a month and a half. Basically, this entire run up, everyone was just going wild, like, wow, when's this thing going to go down? I wish I could buy elephant token cheaper, yada, yada. And that's just because of the parabolic curve, the product, or the constant product formula, sending it up into high heaven. Basically, think of it like a tightly wound spring that actually just, as you push a spring down, it exerts more force against you. And that spring was the spring-loaded price action you saw here. But as parabolic and as exponentially as the price rose due to that spring, the moment the spring was unwound, the moment that the elephant treasury was zapped, it unwound the spring. And that's how exponentially you also crashed back down. And so everything since then has just been about reinforcing the elephant treasury and getting it to literally repeat history minus the exploit. And to wrap up that the exploit part of it is that now there is no front door. Now there is no way to directly interact with this elephant treasury and the innovation of how the system is designed currently. There's no longer this 75%, 25% BUSD to elephant ratio. That whole trunk system is out the window. Now, everything is governed by a series of governance contracts. So when you scroll up, actually, I lost where it's at. Sorry. You redesigned the homepage a little bit, but the governance contracts right here, okay? So there's a certain APR that's coming out of that elephant treasury now. Right now it's at a trickle feed, but every day at a certain APR percentage, funds are coming out of the elephant treasury, being sold, and then being added here, right? And now these 5 buttons basically governs itself. The community governs this. These are community hit buttons. Like the developer doesn't need to do anything. So now you have a checks and balance. You don't have anything interacting directly with the elephant treasury anymore that zapped it the first time with the flash loan attack. Now you have a series of money has to be stored in this governance contract, and then only when a community member comes and hits this does it send that allocated amount of funds over, to where it needs to go. Like, for example, this elephant buyback strategy, okay? There's $1.4 thousand just sitting right there. You can't flash loan $1.4 thousand. Like, yeah, you can put it into a smart contract, come hit this buyback button, but then all you did was move $1.4 thousand. There, this is the ultimate checks and balance that protects this. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah, it does. Basically, when a community member does that, that's then triggering the transaction on the chain, if I understand that correctly.
Correct.
Okay, great, cool. But is it like the payouts? Are they always in trunk, or is that 75-25 like regularly still there for people? Like, let's say if I spend some BUSD and I buy some trunk tokens, first of all, am I then able to also revert that transaction in the sense that I can switch that back to a liquidity pool? Because I can imagine that spending the tokens within the ecosystem changes some things, but if I don't interact with the ecosystem in any other way, then I can still trade it back. That's still correct, right?
Yes, to an extent. So right now, I would still consider this phase that we're in a recovery phase, okay? When the elephant treasury got zapped, it's now inverted. The treasury is no longer the size that it needs to be to pay off all the liabilities of the system. So to get a little bit deeper into what you're asking, if you put money into the elephant treasury and you buy some trunk, that BUSD treasury right here is where your BUSD is going to go. That 75%, 25% model is out the window. It's completely gone. What trunk token is it's a 100% elephant backed collateralized stablecoin. And because we're still inverted, and this is important, because this elephant treasury is not where it needs to be, and elephant value is not supply shocked upward yet, there's not enough money in this particular aspect of the system to pay off the liabilities of trunk. So trunk, I said, was $1, and it had been until the exploit. And since the exploit, now this quote unquote stable coin at the moment is not $1. It is 21 cents. Okay. But this isn't the focus. And this goes back to $1 when this elephant treasury goes up. So let me explain this last concept on how this gets back to $1. And this should excite you. I think you'll have some questions. So right now, the elephant treasury is valued at $11 million. Okay. And I told you that there are governance contracts right here, okay? And so there's one particular one called the trunk peg strategy. Now, this is just one of many aspects to get trunk back to peg. But just for this example, this trunk peg strategy, there's $301 sitting here right now. And so if I were to hit the peg button, this $301 would basically buy Pancake LP of trunk. It would, 21 cents. I'm going to go buy $300 at 21 cents. That's not going to move the needle. Okay. Now, that $301 came from the elephant treasury at a certain percentage. Just for instance, let's say it's 1% a day. 1% a day, for instance, comes out of the elephant treasury. That then buys 21 cent trunk. Well, 1% a day of $11 million buying trunk isn't really moving the needle of trunk. Okay, it's going to stay $21. That's a very small amount of money. But as we go up this parabolic curve again, the value, okay, actually, let me show you this. As we go up the parabolic curve, this red elephant value is going to increase, and it's going to supply shock back up to all-time high. And when it does, this elephant treasury is not going to be worth $11 million. Let's just say it's worth $500 million. Right. Now, what's 1% of $500 million coming out a day? It's way bigger, right? So 1% of $500 million buying 21 cent trunk, well, that starts to move the needle, doesn't it? And so what needs to happen here is elephant token is the focal point right now, because when it supply shocks, this value exponentially goes up, and then the percentage coming out daily of the elephant treasury and buying trunk token moves this needle back to $1. And we already witnessed all of these mechanisms at play during the first run up. So the main takeaway from that is elephant token is the main play. You're buying it essentially at the ground floor before it gets to all-time high and surpasses it. And elephant token supply shocking first, then heals the trunk price back to $1. And so if I had to peg a timeline on that, it's probably like Q1 of 2023. So you're looking at 4 months more of a cheap, 20 to 30 cent trunk before this needle starts to move and this gets back to $1. And when this is at $1 and everything's firing on all cylinders, the treasury's no longer inverted, that's when things get really interesting. And then you are getting your trunk at basically $1. If you bought this trunk right now, it'll 4x itself back to $1. And then, you can arbitrage there. But does that concept make sense?
Yes. Yeah. Well, it's in that sense to kind of shorten it. It's obviously when the elephant treasury grows, both in size of how many tokens are in there as well as the value per token, then any value that gets brought back into trunk also coincidentally also grows. That makes total sense.
Yep. And just so you know, that's what we witnessed. Like we're literally just waiting for this supply shock of the elephant value to be up here, because when this red is back at all-time high, okay, when we're back here and beyond, it takes a fraction of the elephant treasury. Just the elephant treasury can literally look over and just spit at the liabilities in the code and just pay off all the liabilities. Like it's insane how this economic model works. And that's why trunk is really exciting, because when trunk is back at $1, my friend, I gotta tell you, like these APRs, so Stampede is supposed to be up at 205% APR, and it is it's a peg adjusted APR. When trunk is $1, this APR is 205%. When trunk is at 50 cents, well, that's half, right? So 205 becomes 102.5% APR. So it's a peg adjusted APR. That's why it's low right now. But when this thing's firing on all cylinders, you besides getting elephant, if it were me, I would buy a nice cheap bag of trunk and I would bond it in this system. And this is This is basically a stablecoin version of DRIP, if you've heard of that ROI DApp. But you essentially lock up your bonds. You get a daily reward that you interact with by either compounding it or claiming it. And then this is how you can get a salary. Yes.
Yeah, that's more the familiar with under different terms to put it like that. Like there's the farming smart contracts or so-called mining smart contracts, but the concept makes sense, right? You put an X amount in, and that's not, you don't buy a token, you simply put it into the contract, which then spits out like bits daily, returning a higher amount in total than you put in, basically.
Yes. Yep. That's pretty much it. So, I mean, we're right now with the community, Bank Teller created this vehicle that we're all, driving in, but it, the community's the one at the wheel. We're the ones driving it. Like he gives us the tool, he builds the car, we as a community drive it. And I can tell you, like with the education that's coming out, not only for myself, but shout out to Into Crypto, Elephant Money Herd, all the other YouTubers, Crypto Questions. You got fantastic people. Muddy Mo doing a daily raffle live stream. You've got everyone excited. Like this community is bullish right now because we know what's happening. We know what's around the corner. Like once this actually 10x's, 5x's, you're going to start seeing the needle move on your trunk. And then everyone knows that, that's how they're going to profit out of this, whether it's with Stampede or the staking side of it, which is a lower APR, but your deposit is not locked. Okay. So Stampede, it's locked. Staking, it's not locked, but you're still earning a lower APR reward daily that you can also compound and claim. So, yeah, man, it's just a really cool system. And just to, go back to, what is it? The locked liquidity, right? So, as I mentioned, the elephant treasury is inverted right now. But if he could dip his hands, if Bank Teller could dip his hands into the cookie jar and just take that locked liquidity of $40+ million and just like skim off the top of it and dump it into the elephant treasury, he probably just might. Oh crap! Sorry. However, he can't do that. It's an immutable. Everything's immutable. It's locked. He can't just dip into the liquidity. You can't just. Everyone wants the easy button. Like right now, the only fudge you'll ever even try to see stick to this elephant money ecosystem is Trunk. Oh yeah, Trunk. Oh, it's off peg. It's like, dude, if you understand the system, if you believe in the supply shock, if you believe in the elephant token value exponentially going up, like we've already witnessed, and you already see it's happening. We've entered the blade of the hockey stick. If you believe that, then you believe that this is going to go back to $1. Because this pays for this to go back to $1. And this is just one mechanism. I didn't even get into the, the redeem aspect of it. I don't even know where it's at. But you can actually throw Trunk in here, and there's a queue right now, and it's congested. But as the elephant treasury gets bigger and bigger, the queue goes faster and faster. And all the Trunk that's added into the queue and pays you out dollar for dollar, you put in 1,000 Trunk right now, you will get 1,000 BUSD back. That Trunk that enters this system also gets burned. But I'm throwing too much at you guys right now, but that's another mechanism that helps burn it. Yeah.
Right. Oh, that burns the Trunk then. Right. Okay.
Yes.
Any other yeah. Okay. That makes sense. That's kind of the one-for-one trade.
Yeah, exactly. It burns the Trunk. Yep.
Okay. Well, it makes no sense that is congested because the peg isn't there and you can't pay out, right?
Right, the peg isn't there, but the governance contract of this. Let me see, what is it called? The redeem. This redeem button right here. This Trunk redeem strategy. So right now, at the moment, there's 343 BUSD waiting to pay someone. So if the next person in line had 300 Trunk in here, then someone can come hit this redeem button. And this will go and redeem that person's 300 Trunk, right? So, but like you said, because the elephant treasury is so small, the percentage coming out of the elephant treasury is so small that it's congesting the redeem. But again, when everything's firing on all cylinders, this redeem function is going to fly. You're going to have so much Trunk being burned. You'll also have periods of time where the price on Pancake Swap might might not be $1. It might go down to 95 cents or 96 cents. And that's a good ARB opportunity for you to buy it at 96 cents, come up to the redeem function, and then throw in that cheap trunk and then redeem it for $1 instead of 95 cents. So yeah, I hope that makes sense. For
the people into the arbitrage game, that's
yes,
that's one to look out for sure. Just to be clear, I think this is an obvious question, but just so we get it out of the way, Trump does not have any taxes either side, right? No buy taxes, no sell taxes.
I should know that. So in the old system, there was a 1% mint tax. I don't know if that's still there.
Right. Okay.
Honestly, I think it's taxless. Yeah, to be honest with you. So if you today were to buy on PancakeSwap, for example, you can go buy trunk and there will be no taxes, no transfer taxes, no sell taxes. Yeah. And also separately, instead of PancakeSwap, if you came to Peanuts and put in BUSD, you'll be buying it at 25 cents as well. And Peanuts, by the way, if you did come in and buy trunk at 25 cents per trunk instead of 21, you get a 25% bonus applied to a raffle contribution, which I don't know if we'll get into that today. But basically, anyone who wants to buy a trunk, you get entered there's 2 winners every single day, and the prize amount at the moment is 23.2 thousand trunk. Okay, one raffle, one random winner gets this amount every day, as well as a max depositor. If any of you are familiar with, the Rocket contract from back on Tron days, or more recently EMP detonator, they have a max deposit prize too. So if at the end of this timer you are the max depositor, you will also win 23.2 thousand. So that's kind of trunk. But I think if you all are new and listening to this, if it were me, not financial advice, I would buy elephant token before it's too late. Before it's too late, like the X's are coming.
Okay, interesting. There's definitely a lot of different options to go with the trunk system. Just as a quick recap, perhaps, because that's not entirely clear, but or maybe it is the Treasury. Is that kind of the sole part where the 2 tokens link together, or is there more to it than that?
No, they're pretty much independent now. I mean, the trunk, this trunk ecosystem kind of operates on its own. It has its own BUSD pool and everything. However, they are sister tokens, and when you buy trunk, you're basically also helping to fatten the elephant treasury. And by fattening the elephant treasury, you are helping then to supply shock the elephant token, which is
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Makes sense. That makes sense. So they're separate in their own ways, but there's still some background to why they share the ecosystem, so to say. That's cool.
Yes, absolutely. So how I kind of look at it when I talk to new folks, and I hope I've gathered some people's attention now, but again, I would treat elephant as you're participating in the early shares of a new startup, right? And then your trunk, if I go back to this page real quick, you have 2 options to buy the trunk token and where to put them. You could either put it into your Stampede, which is your locked bond, but a higher APR. You should think of this like your savings account, like your CD. And then you have the other option of staking it, which is more of like your checking account. So like personally, what I do, is I'll compound this savings account, a Stampede. I'll compound it for 6 days. And on the 7th day, whether I need that trunk or not, I will claim out on the 7th day, and I'm going to move it to my checking account. And not on this wallet. Like, obviously you see nothing's right here, but I take my 7th day Stampede, claim it out. I throw it over here. That way it's still kind of earning a small APR. However, it's not locked, and I can take it out whenever I need to with this withdrawal button. So checking account, savings account, and then you got your shareholder with the elephant token. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, that makes sense. Great. Thanks for the presentation so far. I just have one more question that I have written down here, and after that we can jump into some community questions, because we did get quite a few that already were curious looked in and asked the questions in the chat in preparation for this AMA. And
Yes.
I'm sure there'll be a couple of people that will want to ask you a question directly as well. One thing that stood out for me on the website is that like Elephant.money calls itself kind of a bank or wants to become a banking crypto bank in that sense. For now, when I look at it, there's mostly like as far as financial instruments are concerned, there's the contract where you like the Stampede contract, let's call it that, and the staking. That's kind of one side of a bank, right? Where you throw money in just to keep it safe. But do you also intend to offer loans, either short-term or long-term? Because I can imagine that restoring the peg is number one right now. But is that something that you guys are looking for towards the future? Is that something that's on the roadmap?
No, not that I've heard, honestly. I don't think there's any lending feature coming to this. I think right now, the community's focus is building the Elephant Treasury, which is also named Bertha, by the way. It's so important that you had to give it a name, but Bank Teller named her Bertha, and the fatter Bertha gets, the more we can all eat. But yeah, right now it's just about restoring Bertha's inverted status. Man, there it is again. And then after that, everything just works. Once Bertha's fat, then Trunk goes back to $1, stays at $1 with the built-in the ARB features and everything. Which we should get into that on Elephant. But yeah, that's kind of how it works.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay, cool. One more thing is, you guys are quite big, obviously, with assets under management at over $165 million US. You've been at this for quite a while. Yeah.
Fun fact with that, Elephant token is also the 10th largest BNB holder in all of the Binance Smart Chain, and it's only going to go up the ranks. So,
is that the Liquidity or the Treasury is held in BNB?
Liquidity, the entire.
Right.
Yep.
Okay, cool. That's pretty cool. That's definitely a nice keynote. Well, what I'm curious about is from what I understand, you guys are currently only trading these tokens through PancakeSwap or the direct platform itself. You're not listed currently on any centralized exchanges. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And is there like a specific reason as to why not? Because the centralized exchanges is often seen as something that comes with the growth of any token and any cryptocurrency project. So why have you guys so far decided against it? Or is that something that's coming up in either the near or long-term future?
I don't. That probably is a better question for Bank Teller. I think I've heard him mention before that it's inevitably going to happen. Even when you look at the price action before, all the way up until this first run up, you had maybe about 6,000 Elephant holders, and then during this run up, that's when you started to really get the attention of chart watchers and different AI platforms really picking up on this. And people without doing research just started to buy it. They just bought their face off. And that's what's going to happen again. So right now, how Bank Teller says everything is, I think it is going to end up on central exchanges one day once we're, a top 100 project, or I don't even know where we're at, but once we're a top 20 and this thing's really up there and you're on the radar of all these hedge funds and institutional money, chart watchers, I think all of that central, stuff is coming. But is he going out of his way to get on that? No, he doesn't think we need that. Right now is the chance for, the small guy, the community to get in on this before the big money comes, if that makes sense.
Right. Well, it totally makes sense. I mean, you've already established quite an impressive market cap without any centralized exchanges. So I think the argument of we think we don't need it is more than valid in that sense.
Yep. And I can tell you now that Bank Teller, the next phase of marketing too, he's going to be flying out to LA within the next 30 days or so, because his PR marketing team is already connected to big celebrities. That same team is, helped folks like Snoop Dogg and, different celebrities. And so, when he starts talking these different deeper pocket individuals, you're going to start really seeing some some different marketing that comes out that's really going to move this needle even more. And then, as we climb up the chart, remember when we're on the radar of, hedge funds and other big firms, you're going to be glad that you got in before all of them do.
Right. One more, and that's kind of I can imagine that might be personal to Bank Teller and might be tough for you to answer. But given the fact that he goes by Bank Teller, I imagine he's not doxed. Is that correct?
False. He is doxed.
That's false? Okay.
Yep. He's got his LinkedIn profile out there. It's not, he doesn't go around and like hold video chats, and he doesn't like put his face out there. But I mean, if you go into the Elephant TG after this, you just check the pinned photo. Like there's a photo of him going out, in front of some place, I forget, but he's out there. He's well known. Like you can see his resume, you can see his Fidelity career. Everything's on LinkedIn. Yep.
Okay, cool. Okay, that puts some skepticism at ease, I can imagine, because that's like it's always a big point. It's kind of a trust thing, right, in crypto, and it's a trust issue. It can be a trust issue either way, whether you're doxed or not, but it definitely helps to be doxed. And I saw some earlier content surrounding this project in doing my research, where they were mentioning that he wasn't. So I'm kind of glad to hear that he is, to be honest. This is always an extra vote of confidence.
Yeah, after this, I don't have it in front of me, but I can find his LinkedIn profile. I'll DM it to you. Yeah.
I was going to say, if you say he's doxed, I'll leave you for now, and I can always verify it afterwards.
Yes,
that's all good.
Absolutely. Yep.
All right. Awesome.
Another cool thing to look at too is I forgot I had this chart, but there's an admin over in Elephant Money named Jed. I can't even say their full name, but I call them Jed. But shout out Jed. They put this together where they actually show how we've decoupled from BNB, and this is about the August 10th timeframe. But you really see BNB going down, whereas the shape of Elephant follows the shape of BNB, but it keeps going up. And this is a signal. This is the same type of signal that we saw back in February before that first supply shock run up. So this is the trigger why everyone's getting really excited, because now there's so much of the Elephant token out of the circulating supply, because it's not only in the hands of the Elephant Treasury, but it's also in the hands of holders. There's more holders. And this is really exciting. And we're just separating more and more. And as the market crabs sideways or even dumps, there's going to come a point in time where Elephant just doesn't even care, and it's going to just keep going up. So very exciting stuff.
For sure. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. With that being said, we can, as far as I'm concerned, jump into the community questions here. Is there anything you feel like we may have missed so far that we really need to touch before we get into those questions?
No, not really. And I think after the AMA too, like this picture I was referencing with the 5 trillion token sell, like, I'll gladly share, my Medium article. I write about Elephant. I make YouTube videos about Elephant, but don't just take my word for it. There are so many other great content creators that are really diving into this and educating the community. And I really hope by the end of this that you guys are interested, and you really should pay attention, because even at time of writing, right, this Elephant token was, I think, it was the 13th largest holder of BNB. It had 40,666 BNB at time of this writing, and this was 2 weeks ago. And now we're at 10. We've gone up in 2 weeks to 10, and you'll hear Bank Teller talk about it, but he says some really bullish stuff, man. At one point, we're going to be in, 5th place, and then we're going to be creeping up higher than that. And, when you're talking a couple years from now, Elephant's is going to be in a position where it's actually supply shocking BNB. The BNB token itself, we're going to have so much locked up into the protocol. So I'll share all of my materials when we're all done here. But it's really exciting stuff, guys. I can't stress enough, getting in before the supply shock happens. This isn't, I'm not here to tell you like, oh yeah, we're on some startup, we're going to do this. We're going to 100X, blah, blah, blah. Like we already witnessed it. We already saw the concept work. We've already seen this. We have a crystal ball. You getting in now on a token that's been out since May of last year, you're looking at a juggernaut of a project that when this supply shock goes, it's just going to go crazy. And I'm telling you, I'm really excited to be here, and I hope you guys can see the excitement and get in on the ground floor. So yeah. Anyway, questions.
Yeah, well, awesome. I love the enthusiasm. That's always great to hear. It's at least an extra vote that you truly believe in what you're telling us. That being said, anybody currently listening that would like to ask a question to SK CryptoK here himself or herself, please raise your hand and I can unmute you and you're free to ask your question. In the meantime, we also have plenty of questions that were asked in the chat leading up to this AMA. So we'll start with one of those. Let's start off with one of those. We have Teresa Mendoza asking, I joined your chat a few days ago, and I noticed the conversations around reflections being paused. Something about people buying from Bertha and not from PCS. So I'm not quite sure what this is referencing, but maybe you can you shine some light on that.
Yeah, my bad. Where are my manners? Okay, so when I was talking about early on the graveyard, I was just giving you what the bare bones, tokenomics are, which is, fundamentally it's supposed to be a 10% in and out tax, and half of that tax goes to the graveyard. The other half of that tax gets distributed and reflected to all the other holders of Elephant relative to their position, right? But currently, as I've mentioned, during this recovery, because we're inverted right now, the goal is to we're bypassing the graveyard if you buy from the website. So instead of reflecting to the graveyard and locking in more liquidity, that's important, but not as important at the moment as beefing up this Elephant Treasury. So now what you can do, and I don't know if, Blue Amber or if you, Galactic, want to share your wallet address, but it's really important to know that when you buy with Bertha, okay, this box right here, I'm going to go to the buy tab, and what you'll notice is that there's an 8.5% tax, not a 10% tax. If you go to PancakeSwap, you will pay a 10% tax, and you can do that if you want. But if you link up to somebody, or actually, let's start. If you're not linked up to anybody in the herd, quote unquote, I'll go over that in a second. If you come by with Bertha, you will actually pay a 9% tax, and that entirety of the 9% goes directly to the Elephant Treasury. So it's beefing this up faster. Does that make sense? And then if you have a partner, though, which is why Galactic or Blue Amber, you give it out to your community. If you have a partner, then it's an 8.5% tax. 0.5% out of that 8 goes to the upline as Elephant tokens, and then the other 8% goes straight to Bertha. And so that's really important. You can buy for as cheap as 8.5% tax. There's also an auto arbitrage feature in here. So bring your BNB, buy it with Bertha, and just know that there's a built-in auto arb protocol here where it'll buy, based on the two LPs. It's either going to buy BUSD or buy BNB, and it's going to maximize the amount of tokens you get, which also maximizes the amount of tokens Bertha gets. And so that's really important. So if you want a partner, just make sure you go over to the trunk page, okay? You have to do this from the trunk page. You go down to the herd right here, a herd partner network, and then you go to the partner tab, and then this is where you input the address to who you want to link up to. And you can update this, you can change this at any time. You don't even need a partner, but it just makes sense to have one. So
right. No, it gets you a cheaper tax, and I don't think anybody will object to that. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Let's see. We have a couple of people here who would like to ask you something directly. Alexander, if you're still with us, go right ahead.
Yeah, hello, man. How are you?
Oh, good. How are
you guys?
Good.
Thanks for all the information. It was so fun, so exciting. And my question is, will Trunk ever be backed by a stable coin, or you don't have plans for this thing?
It's no. So Trunk is essentially 100% collateralized by the elephant token itself. So the elephant token, the value that comes out of the elephant treasury after it, supply shocks, that is what buys this. Now the Trunk token on PancakeSwap, let me rephrase, is actually a BUSD Trunk pair. Okay, so it is technically backed by BUSD. However, it's supported by Elephant token. So yeah, it's overly collateralized by Elephant token, but fundamentally it is a BUSD backed token.
Okay, got you, man. Thanks.
Yep. And then while I'm thinking about it too, if anyone does on Trunk page buy with the Peanuts contract, again, that BUSD comes into the BUSD treasury. And then if you think back, Galactic, what I was saying about those percentages, like, leaving the elephant treasury to pay the liabilities, it's the same way with the input going into the elephant treasury. So right now, this is actually set to the maximum of, I think 50% in the background is coming out a day out of this BUSD treasury and buying elephant token and stuffing it into the treasury. So like literally right now, if no more buys came in at this time tomorrow, this will say 5,000 in the treasury, because 5,000 tokens was then hit on this governance contract on this buyback, elephant buyback strategy. That would say 5,000 tokens right here instead of 86 in 24 hours. And when someone hits that buyback button, it purchases elephant token and stuffs it into this treasury 100%. So that's some of the inner workings there too.
Thanks, man. Thanks, I got it.
Awesome.
Thank you for the question.
Thank you, man. Thank you, guys.
Let's see. Oh, I got more and more popping up. I won't hold you hostage here for too long.
Oh no! Hey, you're good. I did this with the with a friendly place. I think it was Mist at Crypto Hideout, and normally he does like 1 hour AMAs, and then man, he kept us there for 3 hours. It was I have all the time in the world, brother.
All right, awesome. Let's see. We have Raptor. If you're still with us, go right ahead. All right, I'll take that. I'll take that as a no for now. We have in the chat, somebody asked, Kenzie Lowe asked, can the treasury ever be manipulated? You've already touched on this. Like none of these things they're all locked. They can't be manipulated. Might be good to share kind of the where the audits taking place, and where can people read them back to kind of ensure that the security is there.
What was the second half of that question?
Oh no, it's just, can the treasury ever be manipulated by any malicious investors? And this is something you've already right. I was expecting that one.
It's a really good, it's a really good question. But like, if you remember back to the analogy, before on the old system, there was a front door that lets you interact in and out of the elephant treasury. And now we've put this into a vault, and it's surrounded by a house of governance contracts, which is right here in this tab. So everything gets checked into here at a daily percentage and fixed amount of funds that come here, and then only the community. So even if a bank teller were hit by a bus, God forbid, this system would still run. The community can still hit this, forever.
Yep. And the second point that I asked is obviously there's a lot of things that are audited both by CertiK and by I believe TechShield they were called. Can you just point to where the quick link, if you will, to where people can find those audits should they be interested in reading them?
Absolutely.
To be completely up to date on the security.
Yes. So if you went to elephant.money, this is the homepage. You'll see it right here. And if you scroll all the way down to the bottom right, you'll actually see, all the partners. So there's actually also another partner for insurance too. Right now it's sold out, but you can actually insure up to $500,000 of your elephant money, Trunk, elephant token, everything. You can insure it for a 3% premium annually. However, it's sold out at the moment, but pay attention to that. But yeah, the audit links are right here. You got your certic, you got your PEC Shield. PEC Shield was very instrumental after the exploit. I'll just say this: they came in, they offered consultation. They worked hand in hand with the developer to really pinpoint the best way to get rid of that front door access to the elephant treasury. So between Bank Teller working with them, this governance model is first of its kind, and it's an innovation that I think you will see forked in future projects. However, you're dealing with the juggernaut right now. But yeah, PEC Shield, they were instrumental. They're a great partner, and you can read their audit right here. Yeah.
All right. Awesome. There they all are. Great. Next question then here asked by Lane Logan in the chat. And I think it's in regards to, there's a couple, alongside with the Stampede and the staking systems, there were a couple of things similar to lotteries and raffles. So the question they ask is, do you think there could be any potential legal implications from running these lotteries? And is there any way that they limit any future plans that you guys have?
Not that I'm aware of. I never heard that question before, but yeah, this is a lossless raffle. So, if you were to win this 23.2 thousand trunk, it's not like it just goes straight to your wallet and you go cash it out. It actually gets bonded into your Stampede. So if I were to win that raffle, it would show up here in my airdrop tab as pending. And then when I move it over, it would actually go into my bond. So 23,000 trunk would, go on top of my 7.7 right here. And then I'll get a highly daily reward. So it's a lossless raffle. It's not just, take your winnings and run kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Okay. So it's kind of like more, it's not that you don't necessarily win the money, you win kind of a payment towards your bond.
Yes, absolutely.
In that sense. Okay. Interesting. I like the terminology of a lossless lottery. I haven't heard that one before.
Can you imagine giving out 23,000 trunk and then they just go to PancakeSwap? Yeah, you'd sell it for 21 cents, but yeah, like that would just deplete the system and defeat the purpose. But yeah, this is really cool, and you can actually see participation with that raffle here in the stats tab. I really encourage everyone to come here and just play around with everything. But when you come to stats, you'll actually see right here, we're on the 57th round of this current raffle style. And these are the number of participants. So just by simply bonding 5 trunk per day, right? That's like $1.21 a day. You bond 5 trunk, you get entered into the raffle, and you could be one of these random winners. And really, your one raffle ticket is only competing right now against 1,200 people. But as this starts to really take off, your chances are going to get slimmer and slimmer. But here's the reward amounts too. So it varies, but each of these 2 addresses are winning this amount. It's not splitting this amount, it's winning this amount. So you have one random winner and you have one max depositor winner, which you can tell where you're at with this number here. At the moment, 918 trunk was bonded into the Stampede, and this is the current leader of the max deposit. And at the timer, if you're the last one standing on max deposit, when this timer counts to 0, then you win the prize.
Interesting. Is there a way to kind of see that's done to kind of create it, turn it into a game? Can you kind of see what the previous max deposit winners deposited? Like, can you kind of speculate of, okay, well, this is kind of the number that people tend to range in to win the prize in that sense?
Yeah, it's not built into the UI here, and I don't know if Jed, if you're in here listening, but there's a community member that actually tracks all of this on Excel, and you can just bookmark the link and literally check it out every day. They show you what the max depositor is, so if you wanted to look up trends and whatnot, you certainly could. But yeah, that information is out there.
Awesome. It's this person, at least, if let's say they win at 918, that's quite the deal, right? Because you're getting roughly 3 times more
Oh
in
goodness,
your
yeah,
bond.
yeah. I've seen winners as
No,
low
way
as
more actually.
3,000.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I've seen this as low as like 3,000 trunk won a prize. But then, I mean, there's some days where you see this go to 20,000 trunk, which 20,000 trunk divided by whether they bought it for 21 cents or 25 cents. You could do the math, but yeah, they're putting that money in. So yeah, it's really cool. And then just for anyone interested in the raffle, remember, when you come up to Stampede, there's a Peanuts tab right here. And just to focus on it, Peanuts basically buys it at 25 cents. So that's why it says Peanuts multiplies your bonding up to 4x. So basically, if you put in 1,000 BUSD right here, you will bond 4,000 trunk. You will bond 4,000 trunk right there. However, this line is special. A 25% bonus is applied to your raffle contribution. So you're actually bonding 4,000 trunk, but your max deposit right here is going to read, close to 5,000 trunk. So someone needs to beat you by putting in 5,000 bonded trunk to actually, do that. And Peanuts is really good. I mean, you could buy Pancake Swap, for 21 cents. You can do that. It's fine. And then just if you bond it into your Stampede, it counts as your max depositor. However, this just goes to the Pancake LP pair, right? This isn't supporting Bertha. So Peanuts supports Bertha. That BUSD you put in goes directly right here. And then, 50% a day, as I mentioned, goes into buying Elephant tokens. So there's ways. Yeah, there you go.
Gotcha. Awesome. Let's see here. We have George Frecker asks an interesting question. You guys have obviously I guess it's mostly Banktail, but I can't imagine he's done everything alone. But there's quite a big ecosystem currently, right, between Trunk and Elephant. Why were you guys? Why was the choice made for BSC over any other network?
I mean, I have a little bit of insight with it. So, previous to this, a lot of bank tellers projects were over on the Tron chain. Shout out Justin Sun, that guy. But Tron isn't really doing too well. And it became really clear that BSC is where all the money, all the projects were coming to. So at the beginning of last year, 2021, that's when, he just went where the money was going. And the trend is still there. Binance Smart Chain is a force to be reckoned with. So this was built on the Binance Smart Chain, and it's being very successful. Yep.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I haven't dabbled too much in Tron, though I have seen its descent as far as the decentralization projects are concerned. So that's definitely an interesting and I think a good switch, especially if you look at since when Elephant started, and then compare both the BNB to Tron. It was a great moment to switch in that sense. So that makes total sense.
Yes.
Lucky he got the foresight.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I mean, if everything rings true with what he predicts, when Elephant token becomes a top 10 crypto, and we're supply shocking BNB, that's going to be really exciting for the smart chain.
Oh, for sure, absolutely. There's one more question here asked by Du, and I think I'm just going to generalize the question a little bit in the sense where it is kind of easy and it's a question of how fair it is, but having a stable coin being backed by a BSC token in this case, and kind of creating an ecosystem between the two, that like Luna has left a mark in that sense, right? Because that from a first look had a kind of similar structure where there was a speculative coin backing a ecosystem used by a stable coin. So I guess in short, what's the main thing where you said this is why we're different and this is why what happened to Luna could never happen to Elephant?
Yep. This system is fundamentally different from anything that you've seen with algorithmic stablecoins and even recently with Luna. And it's primarily because of this Elephant Treasury, the linchpin again. This provides a backstop. Actually, I'm going to show a different graphic here. So this, oh man.
So much for the different graphic. Yeah, you're good.
Yeah,
You're good.
okay. Well, never mind. But just remember, when it comes with the holders here, I was gonna bring up a graphic that Crypto Questions made. He's a YouTuber. His name's Shane. Great guy, and basically has a graphic that shows these top 4 contracts, and it really specifically it shows the 50% that's locked away by the graveyard, and then it shows the current allocation of what, how many tokens the Treasury is holding. And when I say the Elephant Treasury is the backstop to everything, as this grows and gets, ridiculous in size, it's the number one non-human holder that receives reflections and gets fed by trunk. That, as you're locking up more supply and creating more scarcity on the token, it just supply shocks the value. So the reason why it's different than Luna is that, that governance model that I mentioned is taking a fraction out of the Elephant Treasury. It takes less and less tokens as the value goes up and up to then support this to stay at a dollar. So, and for this to be a dollar, you have 2 mechanisms at play. You can buy it on PancakeSwap for cheap. You can redeem it in that redemption queue that's congested right now. And then secondly, you have the Elephant Treasury with the peg support functionality that buys this and keeps it at a dollar. So this fundamentally, this whole system is just different than Luna. Like, you don't have to worry about anything, because that exploit really showed the problem with the old model having that front door. And now that it's locked up and bulletproof, there's nothing that can stop this Elephant Treasury from dumping again or being zapped out. And this will always support buying the Trunk BUSD LP. So it'll be a dollar and stay there. Yeah.
Cool. There's an obvious difference in the sense of how Luna works and how you guys operate, obviously. I was just curious because I can imagine that it's something that gets brought up more regularly in that sense. So I was just curious what kind of the first argument there was. And I think it's a great one, because fundamentally it's a different way. And especially with the BUSD Treasury, do you or does Bankteller still consider, obviously you're over collateralized, so that's always a good thing, but would you say you're still an algorithmic stablecoin, or that Trunk is still an algorithmic stablecoin?
No, I wouldn't use that terminology. It's just an over collateralized stablecoin supported by its own LP pool of BUSD in addition to Elephant token from the Treasury. So yeah, it's fundamentally different. Yeah.
Awesome. Great.
And I'll tell you this too, man. Everything, with the contracts we've gone over, I want to make it very clear too that none of this is fork code. Like, this is all original. Like, when it comes to Bankteller, he's really the visionary behind this, and he can code what he envisions. And you're really looking at true innovation. And as a YouTuber myself with a channel that's only been out for 1.5 years, I've covered a number of different projects. I have a select handful of favorites. However, I really must say that, I'm only cataloging my journey in my community. If I'm winning, then I know that they're winning. And, Elephant token right now has to be my number one call, before, during, and after exploit. Like this, the tokenomics behind this and the unforked code and the originality, everything here is just genius. It honestly is genius. It's math. It's supply and demand, and this is really going to turn heads. Remember this day, because when we talk again in 1 year and we're at a market cap that's blown past billions of dollars, you had the chance, and this is your time right now. Like, this is not a shit coin. Excuse my language, but I really hope you guys are paying attention.
I think that much is clear, given the extensive history that you guys have been through already. All right, we have one more, slightly more lighthearted question from the chat here by Raptor, asking why the name Elephant Money.
So I wasn't there for the inception of the name, but
Right.
you know, it's just interesting because even I have a I think it's just a you know, what's bigger than an elephant? You know, what mammal out there exists and that's bigger? So it's just
I
I
will.
think it symbolizes yeah, it just symbolizes strength and power and you know, the herd mentality, which is a community bank, and as long as we're all stampeding together, I think that everybody wins on this protocol. So I think it was a really smart choice to call it elephant. But yeah, Bank Teller could probably answer that better than I did. But
Right,
you know,
right.
what's bigger than an elephant?
There has to be a story behind it somewhere. But yeah, okay, cool. I can imagine. All
Yeah.
right. Yeah, okay. Without getting into the repetition here with the questions, I think we can look towards wrapping this up. I think it's definitely been a very, very interesting chat to have with you here, SK Crypto. So thank you very much for that.
Yeah.
For now, can you give us kind of the first thing that people should go look at if they're interested after this AMA? Kind of give the quick 2-minute elevator pitch for people that have gotten interested after listening to you and me talk about the project.
Yeah, okay, absolutely. So, you know, to close out, first off, you know, appreciate all of your time here. And if you have any questions, feel free to go to the Elephant Chat or even DM me. I've got a ton of material that you could either watch or read, as well as there's other influencers too. But the elevator pitch would be, you know, this token is not new. This thing has been out, and you can see what the chart's doing. And you're still on the ground floor of what's about to happen, okay? And I think and you know, not financial advice, but if I were hearing this for the very first time, and someone put $1,000 in my pocket, I would probably allocate all of that into getting into Elephant token, because we know what's happened in the past, and we know that this is going to go beyond that. And I remind you that when this first parabolic run-up happened, this was a $40 million market cap. And in the course of a month, it went to $560 market cap. Okay. It's just math as you slide up the parabolic curve. And, you know, volume can stay consistent. And, but what doesn't is your velocity and your acceleration as you go up that parabolic curve. So if you get into Elephant token now, you will soon get a 4 to 5x once we achieve all-time high again. And then beyond that, the sky's the limit. This thing is just going to go bananas. And so if I had to put a timeline on that, I would just get your elephant bags now while it's still cheap. Because I remember everyone during this last run-up were just asking, you know, oh man, I missed it. I wish I could get more elephant token for cheap. Now's your chance. This is it. So I'd get a bag of elephant token. And then, you know, if I came across some more funds before the end of the year, I would then start buying some trunk, because that trunk is very attractive at 21 cents. Okay. And if you get that, you know, and you're basically interacting with the interest on a daily basis, you can really set yourself up nicely with a dollar token that you can do the math and calculate what your salary would be. So this is not like your other ROI dApps where, you know, Drip, another favorite of mine, but you're not buying Drip at the all-time high price and then watching it go down and then swing back up one day. Doesn't matter when you get into Stampede. Like when you buy Trunk, it's $1 in future years. It'll be $1 to, you know, at that time, and $1 years after that time. So yeah, I would take advantage of this cheap Trunk price too, and maybe try to win a raffle. You know, you'd be surprised.
Exactly. That's definitely a big up for anybody. Awesome. All right, SK Crypto, thank you very much for your time as well here on Friday evening, I believe it was for you.
Yes,
and I want to thank
is.
everybody. I want to thank everybody for joining in and listening in as well. Obviously, as you guys know, Elephant is on our Gems panel, so any link to the website, Telegram, YouTube, and the Medium can be found simply in the chat. Other than that, I hope everybody has a great rest of the night and have a good weekend. And I hope to see everybody in the next one. SK Crypto. You as well. Hope you have a good weekend, and until next time.
You too. And everybody, thank you for your time.
Awesome. Bye-bye.